So I've been playing a lot of the game lately, and I also played the game and release, so I can kind of tell you what the current situation for the game is. This video will focus on two main aspects of the game: the upcoming Economy Rebalance, which is great at the surface but a little bit worse when you get into it, and number two, if the game is pay to win. Spoiler, the game is pay to win. There's no question about it. So what are the upcoming changes to the economy? Well, basically they will reduce the amount of research points and silver you need to do stuff. So let's go through the research first of all. The research, I think it's a major problem because it will be very hard for people to get to tier 2 and finish tier 2. I mean, if you're a free-to-play player, you might need a few weeks to finish tier 1. Let's say 1 or 2 weeks depending on how you play and how much you play. You might need a few months to finish tier 2, tier 3 a few months, tier 4 a few months as well, 5 a lot more months. It might take you an entire year to simply grind through all of the research trees in order to get the basic research done. And you might be thinking that's a lot. It is a lot under the current system. Plus you have to spend silver to also buy the tanks and the other items. I think a tank was about 5,000 silver or something like that. The tanks are kind of priced like the airplanes, so more or less the same. These ones will be more expensive, of course. And they plan to reduce all of that. So research cost will be reduced by 23% in tier 1. Tier 2 will be reduced by 61%, which is the biggest change. So tier 1 will be basically the same as tier 2 in cost. Keep in mind that as you advance through the tiers, you'll gain more experience and more silver from the matches because you'll have more stuff to fight with. So the more you get into the research tree, the more points you can earn. Oh, that also depends on how well you play the game, but this is a good change. Tier 3 will have 50% less research points needed. Tier 4, 35%, Tier 5, 30%. But there is a big catch to all of this because of the way the tier system works currently. So Tier 2 will be the biggest change to the game because people will be able to go through Tier 2 much easier. But the problems will become a lot more apparent when you go up to Tier 3. For example, let me show you what it means to change a weapon. If I change my weapon that is tier 2 to tier 3 over here, I will be put in a totally different bracket that is tier 2, 3 and 4. You might be thinking, well, that's not such a big difference, is it? No, that's so much more worse because tier 2 is basically the basic stuff unlocked. Tier 3 is where the armies start to shine and see their differences. But tier 4 is just overshadowing everything. So the difference from tier 1 and tier 2 is like the first stage in Age of Empires 2 and the last stage in Age of Empires 2. So it's a massive difference. So I can only imagine how it will feel to be a tier 2 fighting a tier 4 and so on. Plus, you don't want to do tier 2 and 4 because you change the weapon. So that means you'll have to change everything. So most people just stay in a lower tier until they research and upgrade everything. You also need to get new squads as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a mess. What are the changes to the economy? The silver economy mostly. Basically, enlisting a soldier will be much cheaper, which was a very much needed change because right now it's 3,000 for a basic tier soldier, which is horrible, and tier 2 soldiers would be 7,500, which basically means you couldn't really recruit a lot of specialists and you'd have a very hard time filling the places in your squad. But basically everything is reduced by 80% for soldiers in tier 1 and 2, tier 3 is 44% less. Tier 4 is 41% less, but it doesn't say anything about tier 5 over here, which is a bit weird. And also, vehicles will have their price reduced by another 80%. Buying and upgrading weapons will also be reduced by 80%. So, if you buy a tank and upgrade it, it will be 80% less, more or less. So, what is that system? Well, basically, let me kind of recap what you do with the squads and some of the other stuff. If you want to say research a squad, you research the tier 2 squad that will be given to you by unlocking the mats, and that's the heavy squad, right? Right. When you get a heavy squad, it will only have one machine gunner. And then you need to upgrade the squad through playing a lot of games, and then you'll, let's say, upgrade the amount of experience they get, the squad size, you'll add another machine gunner, you'll add the heavy MG as a buildable, you'll add a radio operator, an anti-tank gunner. And then you can go over here as well, where you just upgrade more the amount of experience they get, the tier of the soldiers, how high they can go. And then you also have to upgrade the weapon itself with points from over here, meaning you have to play a lot of games and play them very successfully with your chosen squad. And after you upgrade all of this stuff over here, you can finally start upgrading the guns. What does it mean to upgrade the guns? Well, you sadly have to upgrade every gun separately. You can see we get a few bonuses from that. I mean, we have a few discounts over here, but I'm not going to upgrade anything because it will be much cheaper to do it when the update is live. So the first upgrade is 200 something. The next one will be, I think, 500 or 600, I forgot. You know, let's just do it for science. The next one will be 720, and as you can see, the tier 3 one will be much more expensive. So, like I said, it will be more or less 80% reduction, so this will be about 700. That's a huge change, and it's a welcome change. Same for the tanks, same for the other things. But for the tanks, you also need the cars to upgrade them, which is a bit of an issue. So, that will be the economy, and this is how it will change. Basically, players will have access to tier 1 and 2 much easier. Tier 3 will still depend on how you play the game and how much you play the game, but free-to-play players will be able to get into tier 2 much easier and max out tier 2. That means they'll mostly be staying in the first bracket of the game, which is battle rating 1 and 2 and 3, but again, tier 3 will absolutely crush them. They'll have no chance against the tier 3 stuff, especially because it's a huge difference going from, let's say, a Mosin or a Winchester to the SVT, which is a semi-auto. And again, some of the tanks, some of the airplanes, some of the machine guns will feel like such a big difference. But that's the good news for new players. So when does the good news end? Well, it will end when I tell you about the pay-to-win aspect. So what can you buy with real money? Well, first of all, let's speak about how much does the gold cost. 10 euros, 1000 gold coins. So you'll see that this is the best seller. Why is this the best seller? Because if you're a new player that wants to take the game seriously, this is one of those games that will become pay to have fun. Unless they change some of the aspects of the game to make them less visible. Why do they choose this option over here? Because you need about, well, you just need this option, 2800 gold in order to have fun in the game and progress much faster than the other people. So you can, if you start at the same time as a tier 1 player, and if you invest this money into the game, you will basically advance 3 or 4 times faster than the player, and you'll be able to crush the player if you see him in a match. No matter how good that other player plays, you just have a lot of things that will kind of give you a little passive income each fight, each match. First of all, you should buy, of course, the premium account, which only lasts for 30 days, so it's 10 euros every month if you want to play the game at a decent stage. And you also get, of course, the research multiplier, which is much faster. But you also get 2 more squads in the battle, so this is the biggest problem with the game, in my opinion. They should remove this from the premium battle pass, but then nobody would buy it. So you get more squads into battle. So what is the big difference if you have more squads into battle? Well, it will allow you to you can have 1 more infantry squad and 1 more vehicle. This vehicle over here, it will just drive a squad to a location, and it also can have a medic. So basically, people can spawn from this truck. It's a mobile spawn point, but it cannot be closer than 50 meters to a point. You may be thinking, what's the big deal with that? Well, you can drive the truck there, leave it there, get out of the truck with the medic, put the medic box over there, and then that will just continuously create passive income, passive points throughout the game. And you just have to use it and forget it. And as for my other infantry squad over here is the mortar squad. I can basically kill a lot of soldiers with this one, and then just create a spawn point and just annoy the enemies a lot. I also equipped anti-personnel mines on all of them, so we can basically go in a building, kill a lot of enemies. If the point doesn't have a lot of buildings, you can just kill a lot of people, then go over to the point, build a respawn point, and then just put mines everywhere. Which is kind of funny because it really works like that, in more or less. So basically this squad over here and this squad over here are just kind of throwaway squads that I used to get a lot more points. And I can only do that because I have the premium account, which is great. So what else should you buy with the money? Well, you should also buy the premium pass, which is not so expensive, you might think. So it's 900. So this is your first 2000 gold coins that will be spent. So what's the problem with this one over here? Well, the free battle pass basically is not giving you anything, and I really mean nothing really good or spectacular. You can also get, if you buy it, if you buy the battle pass, you'll have access to more of these cards over here, which is the main thing of the game. Upgrade orders, let me see over here, the upgrade order for vehicles, which is the more important one. Anyway, some of the other cards as well, and some of the other rewards that are unlocked as well, as you can see. Plus you also get a lot more free gold, and you can do a lot of things with the gold as well. But let's not get into that. More or less vehicle upgrades, more gold, more free stuff, more cards. Okay, so with the cards you can also get... Okay, so with the battle pass, if you buy it, you can also get a lot more stuff, like the cards that will allow you to buy things from the shop. Or here, for example. Vehicles with camouflage in the shop and some other stuff, unique vehicles, which is the more important one. You really need that one over there. You also get more silver, you also get more cards that you can use to play around with the things you have. Anyway, let's not get into that. Some of this stuff will be super important. Over here is the shop, and you can also buy from special offers a lot of stuff, or from the battle pass. The vehicles that you can get are kind of amazing. So you get some extra gold, and you get some extra cards that you can use to buy stuff like this and some other things. So that's also a massive improvement. So you get the battle pass, you get the premium account, and what else can you buy? Well, this is the thing. As you can see here, you can buy also a new slot over here where you can put another infantry squad. So basically, if your squad is capping a point, you can have an assault squad, it dies, you get another assault squad, that dies as well. You can get another assault squad, that also dies. For example, if you're capping a point, my heavy machine gunners will not be as useful as the assaulters. And if I lose these two squads, then I'll basically have to use the anti-infantry squad, which is not ideal, but there's no way I can play any other way like this. I guess I can change this one to another assault squad, but believe me, this is kind of like an ideal way to get a lot of points, because the games are pretty dynamic. So yeah, and you may be wondering, 2,500 gold or something like that to buy the battle pass, the premium account, and also the extra slot in battle. What is the space over here for a premium squad? Well, this is where the game will get very annoying. So if you buy one of these premium squads, not only you will get all of the stuff they need to go with the squad, they also gain 100% experience gain in battles, which is cumulative experience for the soldiers, and the research progress, which are cumulative with the premium account. So if you play with a premium squad, if you have the battle pass, you basically will progress 3 times faster in the research tree. But not only that, you also gain a lot more experience in battles. So yeah, plus all of the equipment that they get, and also the soldier rank, plus you will not be needing to farm a lot of silver to equip them to the max. I don't know. It's a lot of weird things. So why does that play such a big influence? Because like I said, you need to upgrade this stuff first. They use the same points. Then this one maybe. And the last one will be this one over here. But then you need to also upgrade every weapon personally. So is this pay to win or not? I mean, I think we have seen the problems, well, until now, and you might be thinking, well, that's not such a big issue, right? No, it's a big issue, because some of the things you can buy with real money over here can include... Let me see how expensive this one is. A tank, let's say this tank over here, 25 euros. The flamethrower tank, which is amazing, because in tier 1, you don't really have a lot of ways to deal with it. Plus, it's a flamethrower tank that is really unique and fun to use. Over here you have basically MLRS, multiple rocket launcher system, and some of these guns are really overpowered for their tier as well. So you can basically buy or throw the battle pass and the orders and the shop and some of the other things. You can just get super vehicles that you cannot get another way, which will be super hard to deal with at their ranks, because that's it, that's the overpowered things. Now, I don't even want to get into the details of this, but these things are... Oh yeah, let me show you the famous Japanese boat, which is over here at tier 1. You probably have seen it in a lot of games of this type. Yeah, we have it over here, and it also has the increased armor as you would expect in the front and the... And I guess the front mostly. So, it is a very much pay-to-win game, because when you win a game, you get a 1.5 multiplier for the things you win. So that means if you win, if you are successful, you get a lot more stuff. You also get more points for each role. You get, let's say, you can get a title in a game, and that title will also be added as a multiplier if you have enough. So that basically means if a 60 euro player that has spent 60 euros in the game is matched with a free-to-play player they'll just farm them because they have so much more stuff than the regular players that it will not be even that much of a fight. Also keep in mind that people can play with friends, so that means if 2 or 3 people are using a lot of money and or are playing for a few years, that means they'll stomp out the newer players. They'll not even have a chance. I've been playing a few games where we cannot even take the first point, which is the easiest one. Sometimes I lose 2 or 3 games in a row because I'm getting matched against squads. Sometimes there are cheaters as well, but mostly I think I'm losing most of the matches that we don't capture any points because we're facing against squads. That's a huge problem because those squads are usually the ones that pay. You may be thinking, well, that's not such a big problem. No, it's a big problem because usually the good players will pay for stuff. So if you're a good player, you'll pay at least 25 euros for the things you see over here. If you're a very bad player, you'll not really buy anything. And this is, I think, a misconception that people don't understand. It's not the bad players that buy stuff in a game. It's usually the good players that buy stuff so they are even better, or they just get that extra edge they need over their opponent. So even though the changes to the economy, the upgrade and the research will be amazing, the same problems will still remain just because of the extra slots, the premium squads, the premium guns, the research advantage some people will get, and some of the other stuff that I showed you over here. So if you're a new player, it will be amazing to pick up the game when the update hits the game. You'll be able to progress a lot faster, but it's not one of those games that you play for a very, very long time. Otherwise you'll go crazy, because imagine if you have to buy all of the tier 2 guns and also upgrade all of the squads. And also, when going to tier 3, you will unlock a new squad. So, for example, over here, let me show you. Let's say this thing over here. We'll unlock a new squad if we research this, right? Right. So what does this mean? This means you need to upgrade them all over again and play a lot of games and go through this over here, this over here, this over here, the guns upgrade and such. It's going to be a massive challenge to do all of that, and as you can see, I spent a lot of silver just to upgrade a few guns. Dimension, let me see. Yeah, over here I've upgraded a few of these things over as well. And the tank a little bit. I don't know what to say about this, but they really need to change a lot of things. Also, as the final point of the video, I think the developer should have just given a lot of free stuff to the new players. A lot of research points, a lot of silver, and a lot of bonuses to the players, or a lot of things to the returning players, or just make the battle pass free for everyone. Don't make this purchasable, just make it free for everyone, and keep the premium account so people can buy the premium account, but not the battle pass, because some people definitely choose to buy the battle pass instead of this one over here. I've played a lot of Isonzo, and the problem with Isonzo right now, I think I'll say this a lot of times when I'm playing the game. The problem with Isonzo is that in the beginning the progression was great because it was hard to progress, and that was a game where you paid the game and then you didn't pay for anything else. Maybe some camouflage if you wanted, but when they reduced the amount of progression or the amount of experience you need to unlock stuff, you know what happened? Basically everyone got everything, and from a tense World War shooter it became a grenade lobber paradise, also a sniper paradise. So if everyone has access to all of the upgrades very, very fast, the game will change a lot for the worse, because nobody will really be playing the game in a more relaxed manner. Everyone will just have max upgraded guns, and it will feel like Call of Duty, yeah. The game will feel like Call of Duty or Counter-Strike very, very fast if people have access to all of these things very fast, and they can do it all at the same time. I think developers are kind of forgetting that each game needs to have its own separate pace, needs to have its own style, and needs to have its own upgrade system as well. Because you're only punishing the players that don't have a lot of money to spend on the game. And you might be thinking, yes, but the research, the upgrade, and the buying of stuff will be reduced as well. So that's a great thing, yes. But it will not change the fact that a player who bought all of those things that I showed you will still be able to destroy any free-to-play players. And if you look at some statistics, probably you'll see that a lot of free-to-play players are getting beat up by the team that has more people that invest a lot more money. So if you are let's say, imagine this, you are a free-to-play squad, everyone in the team is free-to-play, and you're facing up against a number of people who have invested at least 20 euros in the game. That's going to be a huge loss for you. Yeah, you can play good, you can coordinate, you can do a lot of stuff, but ultimately it's kind of like who has the bigger stick, and the people with the bigger wallet will always buy the bigger stick, and you can have a big stick as well, but by the time you have the bigger stick, guess what? The people with the bigger wallet will go to the next tier of the stick, and the stick will become even stronger. So you're going to play a catch-up against people who will never be able to, I don't know, against people you will never be able to reach, just because they will advance so much faster, and when you catch up to them, they'll be one step ahead. And only when you reach this thing over here at the final tiers, you'll be able to play uneven battlegrounds. But think about it. Then you might want to play with another faction. You might want to play with the Japanese boat, because it's such a funny looking tank, or some of the other stuff. And you'll find out you are faced with the same dilemmas, with the same problems, and the same thing over and over, because you'll need to grind through the tiers. You cannot advance through the tiers. You cannot use your shiny new machine gun, just because that will put you in a new bracket. It's a mess. It's a big mess. It's one of the greatest games ever made when it comes to FPSs in World War II, but I think the developers should just look at their whole payment system and work on that. It's a great change that are working on the research and the economy, but they also need to work on the pay-to-win aspects.